Hey, what's up everybody? Tony with Lido Loca. Many American cruisers take advantage of closed loop travel, which minimizes the amount of travel documentation you need to take a cruise to the Caribbean. In the context of Caribbean cruising, closed loop travel means traveling from a U.S. cruise port to one or more Caribbean cruise port destinations and returning to the same U.S. cruise port. If you do that, you do not have to travel with a passport. You can travel with your state-issued ID and a birth certificate. The reason that this works is because the destination ports in the Caribbean do not require a passport. Now, while we do see many American cruisers taking advantage of the closed-loop travel policies, there is one southern Caribbean island that has recently changed its policies, making passports necessary. Martinique, a French colony, recently changed their policy and now requires a passport to visit. The interesting thing about this development is that Martinique is usually included in longer itineraries to the Southern Caribbean. These are usually 10 days or longer because of its position in the Southern Caribbean. Most of the time you don't go to Martinique on a normal 7-day itinerary, and definitely not on a short 4 or 5-day itinerary from Florida. So it begs the question, will this change in Martinique really affect the rest of cruising to the Caribbean? Recently, Carnival Cruise Line sent an email out to its guests that will be cruising on the Carnival Pride on the November the 9th sailing to Martinique, alerting them of the new policy change. Carnival has said if you do want to visit Martinique going forward, you will need a passport. However, you can stay on the cruise ship. Certainly in a world where securing your own borders and heightened immigration standards, it does make sense that Martinique and other places are increasing their profile when it comes to checking on the people that are coming in and out of their country. But will it affect the rest of the Caribbean? I've long advocated that cruisers should get a passport for traveling even to the Caribbean. The closed loop travel policies are strong for getting you out of the country to get you into cruising into the Caribbean, but where they break down is when things go bad. If you get stuck at a cruise port, if you need to fly for any reason, you can't do that with just your ID and your birth certificate. You need a passport to leave a foreign country and fly into the United States. It's a form of insurance to have your passport, but at the same time, the passport is one of the most identifiable pieces of documentation that you can have, and it really is what you need anytime that you go traveling. I don't think that this change in Martinique is going to make a big change for the rest of the Caribbean. Again, it's going to affect just a few people, and it's interesting to see that Carnival says, look, you can still go without your passport, you just have to stay on the cruise ship. So they're not taking a hard stance for these itineraries that have this passport requirement. I did an informal poll just on some of our social media, and it does look like the majority of cruisers that we interact with do have a passport. So I'd be interested to know about you. Are you a United States cruiser going primarily to the Caribbean? If so, do you cruise with a passport? Do you not cruise with a passport? And if all of a sudden you needed a passport to go to all the Caribbean islands, would that change the way you look at cruising? Would this take cruising out of your vacation choice if all of a sudden you needed that next level of travel documentation? Now, I know it's primarily a United States question. For the rest of the world, having a passport, having some sort of elevated form of travel documentation is the norm. But it's not necessarily the way that we do it in the United States. The United States, we travel often from state to state. It's a very large country, and so we travel that way opposed to traveling from country to country. And those state-to-state trips, they don't require a passport. So when a U.S. traveler is contemplating travel, just even to the Caribbean, the idea of getting a passport is a question that many people wrestle with. Is it worth the extra expense? Will I ever need it for anything else? But now, all of a sudden, as things are starting to change, what would happen if you did need a passport to go to the Caribbean? Is this something that you would do, or is this something that would take cruising off of your radar? I'd be interested in hearing your opinion. Leave a comment down below. Let's continue the conversation. Thanks so much for stopping by. This is Tony with Lido Loca with the latest in cruise news. If you found the information helpful, please hit the like button and check out some of our other videos. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.